Ilya has put out a video about Machinist. We'll see what he has to say. We'll see what he has to say. Get comfortable, this might get rough. Ready for the ultimate? Ready as I'll ever be.
Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today I wanted to talk about Machinist. I've always been a very big fan of the job, used to main it back in Stormblood, and while I might not have mained it since then in a raid scenario, I've always tried to keep up with it, and I would like taking it out during extreme trials or 24-man raids. Now in Endwalker, haven't really had the chance to do that all too much yet, but with 6.1 we got a new 24-man, and that meant that it was time to dust off the gun and finally try my hand at our new Endwalker Machinist, because while I did play it initially, we get it to 90 and then do some expert roulettes and extreme trials on it, I hadn't actually played the job in a few months, and now with the recent buffs it was the ideal time to learn how to play it again, and it was a whole lot of fun to try and wrap my head around our new rotation, because
the issue with the Machinist has never been like fun, I think. Even in its simplistic state, it's still a fun job, man. It feels impactful, at least. It isn't, but it feels like it. And like it's a good time, man. It's fluid. It's what I've always liked most about it.
While we didn't see a lot of new stuff going into Endwalker, what we did get changed the rotation a little bit. So it was fun derping around in the 24-man raid. Now, Machinist as a job, doesn't matter how much I enjoy playing it, is a bit weak right now. It was the worst performing DPS in the game, and it wasn't even close, so they ended up giving Machinist some potency buffs. Nothing changed in terms of the playstyle, just some number changes. So I was quite excited to see how much this would actually affect the job, as it's always more fun to see your job performing well. But sadly enough, the buffs that we got just weren't enough. Machinist is still at the bottom of the DPS chart, and again, while the gap was made smaller, it is still fairly big. So when I look at the numbers, so this is purely objective, we can see that all of our melees and Black Mage are at the top.
Like, in what world is this okay? Like, in what world is this alright for a pure DPS job? What is going through your head, Square Enix? Jesus Christ, man. Like, what the actual fuck is that? Like, the statistics don't lie, man. Hate logs all you want. We have the data by this point. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. How is a pure DPS just not able to, like, make use of raid DPS? Or in what world is this alright?
Of the list. Makes sense to me, as you have melee uptime to play around, and with Black Mage you're supposed to be this immobile caster, which I don't really know how much that's still the case, to be honest, because Black Mage is fairly mobile now, but it's the selfish caster, so again I can see why it's up there. And then slightly below that we have our ranged and the other two casters. Now the DPS difference between all of our high-end DPS jobs is about 300 to 350 DPS, so they're fairly close to each other. Then there is a dip of about 300 DPS at which all of the other jobs are sitting at, because our ranged and casters are incredibly close to each other. It's literally only a 60 DPS difference between the four of them. But then there is Machinist, who's behind another 350 DPS. So I'm just wondering why. If anything...
Yeah, great question. Why? Why is it we're making casters more fucking mobile? And yeah, okay, on the surface it looks like they've been nerfed a little, but their utility or their damage is just so fucking good. So you add that onto the fact that they can move so much more these days, and you just have like this fucking like clusterfuck, like it just doesn't make any sense. Why are Fizz range and casters so close together now? Why? It just doesn't make sense, dude. We don't have purpose anymore. Job design doesn't fucking... Sorry, fight design doesn't even warrant Fizz ranged. I was doing Nidhogg last night, or sorry, yesterday, because we were doing some prep for DSR, and I'd never really done the fight synced, and I didn't know the ad, you know the one that just goes and swipes at people. Actually, like, their fire is baited on the furthest target. Guess what? That's the physical ranger's job. Well, we don't get that anymore. O11S was another great example. There's examples everywhere of old fight design incorporating this idea of abusing the movement of physical ranged. And that's good. But, like, now we don't have that. So now physical range just has even less purpose. But then we're just giving all the mobility to casters anyway, so things are closer than ever. Like, the identity is gone. The purpose is gone.
Machinist should at least be on par with the other ranged. There's no reason it shouldn't be. I would personally like to see it a little bit higher, because just like Samurai and Black Mage, it's the selfish DPS. Fuck. All it brings to a party is its damage, and that is lacking quite a bit right now. Do I think it should do the same DPS as the melees?
No.
Probably not, at least not in terms of raid DPS, but I do think it should be close to it. Now, I can already hear people asking, but what about the ranged tanks? And while it is a fair thing to bring up, I don't think that job should be punished too hard for being easier to keep uptime with, because even on a lot of melee unfriendly fights, good players will find a way to get their uptime, regardless of if they're a melee or a caster. So while I do agree there should probably be a slight discrepancy in DPS they deal, it should...
Like, physical range attacks just can't be a thing anymore, like, if there's no reason to have it. As I said, fights don't warrant it anymore. There's a lot of movement in fights now, I agree. And I guess they've made things more mobile to make up for that. But then you forgot to adjust phys ranged in the process. Especially Machinist. Give it a higher optimization ceiling. Give it some utility so you can just pick and choose between phys range and it doesn't matter which one you take. Why has there got to be a pure DPS variant of every role?
Shouldn't be too big, and I think that the 300 DPS difference that we have right now between our melees and the ranged is just fine. It's not too big that taking these lower DPS jobs is a detriment to your group, and it feels rewarding for those that do play one of these harder uptime jobs, because they get a little bit more DPS out of it for the effort that they put in. And when I say detriment, I mean that when looking at serious raiding, week 1 Savage and Ultimate for example, because outside of those two scenarios, you can raid with 4 Machinists for all I care and you'll still be fine. But when looking at those serious raiding scenarios, it's important to me that balance is there. And right now it is there for all of the jobs, minus Machinist. So I would hope that with our Ultimate patch, we see some small number tweaks for some jobs. Samurai is another one that could use a little push in the back. But I really hope that Machinist gets brought up to the level of the other ranged at least. Doesn't have to be the highest DPS ranged for me, I just want it to perform well alongside the other jobs. Will I stop playing it if it doesn't get buffed? Hell no. I love playing Machinist, so even in its current state I'll still play it and I'll still do good DPS as well, but it does feel bad that I have to play my best just to keep up with other jobs when they are being played by the average player. So hopefully they do get some buffs sooner rather than later. But that's all I wanted to talk about today, so I want to thank you for watching, I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, he's just going over everything I said, really. Like, it's just... It's still good for prog because it's reliable output. It's why I would still always take it for prog. It's why I will still play it regardless of the state it's in, because I love playing it. But it doesn't do what it should, man. Not even close. You know? It's just rough. Horses on a cat go. Okay, dude. I'm speaking, man. I don't know what Square Enix is doing, man. Please. Listen to us. I bumped all those threads last night. They're probably all on the second page now because of like, there's like 4 times more people complaining about Samurai and Ninja right now. And like, you know, I get it. Don't get me wrong. They clearly don't listen to Samurai players either because they started changing shit without any fucking reason to. They just clearly don't know what the fuck they're doing, man. Ugh. Anyway, thank you for putting this out. The more eyes on Machinist, the better, man. Starting to talk about the jobs problems now. Now both on YouTube, like on YouTube, Twitter, and the forums. Maybe one day SC will actually understand our plight. Like, I don't know, man. Just going out there and putting a video on it is like is good shit, man. Like, did I typo? Do I always typo? No, there is no typo. Oh, shit. So I can edit this one. It's fine. It's not like Twitter that I'm still living in the Stone Age. There we go. Ta-da! Huge. Alright. Yeah, good video, man. He didn't need to say much. He just needs to get views on it. That's all we need. Thank you.